Hello and welcome to Mailtrap Videos, where we explore the world of emails. Here's how to send emails with Laravel. First, let's go over basic configurations for sending emails using the Laravel framework. All the configurations related to sending emails are located in the mail.php file in the config directory. In this file, the default mailer is specified, which will be used to send emails. The value is taken from the .env file with the mail mailer variable. If this value is missing, the default value is used, which is specified in the second parameter. Let's look at the value in our case. The value is the same, and this variable has the SMTP value. So in our case, the SMTP driver will be used. Below, you can see the configuration for each driver. For example, here you can specify your custom driver as the default driver. By default, there is no Mailtrap driver, so like in this example, you can list it along with all of the needed configurations. Laravel has built-in support for the listed default drivers. From version 2 onwards, all Laravel classes are stored in the mail directory, which is usually located in the app directory. When you first install the project, this directory does not exist. So you need to create it using the command line and artisan to create a new mail class. Let's create this and name it My Email. The class was successfully created, and here you can see the address where the file is stored. So the mail directory has been created, and you can see our newly created mail class inside. This class contains several methods: envelope, content, attachments, etc., and can be used to configure various settings for this specific email. Let's take a look at how to add a sender to an email. So while using the envelope method, you can easily specify the sender by adding a from parameter inside the object's constructor. In this case, this specific email will be sent on behalf of John from mailtrap@gmail.com. If you do not want to specify a sender for each email and want all your emails to be sent from a specific address, you can do this using the configuration file. In this file, there is a global from address section. This address will be used in case the address is not specified directly in the mail class. This global address by default has the value hello@example.com. But if the .env file has a value specified, it will be used as the global address. You can also specify the sender's name here, or use the name taken from the .env variable. That's all for the basic configurations in Laravel for sending emails. Now let's take a look at how to send emails using the framework and an SMTP server, which in our case will be that of Mailtrap. First, you'll need to register an account and verify the domain from which you will send emails. Afterward, on the Sending Domains page, go to the API and SMTP tab and select SMTP settings. There you'll find the settings you need to use for sending emails. The next step is to copy these settings into our Laravel project. First, you'll need to copy the host value into the .env file. Here you will see the mail host variable. Paste your host into this variable. The mailer should be set to SMTP. Next, copy the port value, the username, and the password. For encryption, specify TLS. You also need to specify the email address from which you will send emails. In our case, it's noreply@mailtrap.club. The email domain should match the registered domain to avoid any errors. Alright, the settings are specified. Keep in mind that the SMTP server can be from other services as well, like Gmail for example. But again, in our example, we'll use Mailtrap. After specifying all the necessary settings, you need to create a mailable class. This can be done in Laravel using this artisan command. In our case, this class is already created, and you can find it in the mail folder from the app directory. In it, you will find the email header, the content, which will be a template in our example, and the parameters passed to the template. You can also add attachments to the email if necessary. The next step is to create the email template with the specified name in the view variable. To do this, navigate to the resources folder, then to the views folder within it, and finally to the mail folder. In our example, the template is already created in the corresponding directory. Make sure the first part of the file name matches the view variable's second part. Inside the template, you will see the text and the dynamic content that will be passed using the with parameter. Also, remember to specify these parameters in the constructor of your mailable class. After this, you can create a test route to check if the email sending is working properly. To do this, find the web file in the routes directory and add a new route. Specify the dynamic name that you want to feature in the email and the address to which you're sending the email. Now you can access the test route and see if the email sending is working. Let's open the browser and our mailbox. Go to your Laravel project and access the test route. And we can see that the email was sent and delivered to the recipient's mailbox with the specified text. So this is how you can send emails in Laravel using an SMTP server. However, depending on the project, using a transactional email API can be a better alternative. So let's take a look at how to do that. In our example, we'll be using the Mailtrap PHP client. The relevant documentation can be found on GitHub, and there is also a link to it in the description of this video. So first, you'll need to go to the relevant link in the Framework Integration section of the documentation, and from there, copy the installation command for Mailtrap PHP library and HTTP client. Now, navigate to your Laravel project, where a fresh Laravel version should already be installed. In your terminal, paste and run the installation commands. Once the libraries are installed, you can specify a new mail transport in the configuration file. Do this by copying the lines from the usage section of the documentation and pasting them into the mailers section in the config mail.php file. Now, find the .env file where environment variables are stored and add the following values: mail mailer, mail host, mail API key. So copy these values and paste them into the .env file. In the mail section, remove the existing mail variables to avoid conflicts and paste the new values. For the mail API key, you can obtain it from the Mailtrap admin panel when you access the domain from which you're sending the mail. Go to the API and SMTP tab, copy the API key, and paste it into the .env file. After adding the changes to the configuration, clear the configuration cache using the php artisan config clear command. Paste the command in the terminal and run it. Next, create a mailable class by generating it using the provided command. You can find this class in the welcomemail.php file. From the example given in the documentation, simply copy all of this code and replace the one that was previously generated in the welcomemail.php file. After that, make some changes, such as specifying the sender's email address and removing the line for sending a copy of the email if that's not needed. Next, create a template for the email in the resources views directory. And give this template a specific name. In our example, it's email.blade.php. Now paste the text of your template. Let's use the example from the documentation. For the library to know which template to send, it's important that the name of the template file matches the one specified in the content method of the mailable class. In order to send an email via a console command, you'll need to add the calling line identification route to the console.php file. Navigate to the file and paste the send welcome mail command. Just make sure that you correct the recipient's email and the name which will appear in the placeholders of the template. You'll also need to specify the namespaces for the mail and welcome email classes. Now you have everything set up to send emails using the Laravel framework via API. To verify that everything is working correctly, run the console command. Let's check our inbox. And there you go, the email is there with all the correct details as we specified. Alright, now that we know how to send regular emails via SMTP and API in Laravel, let's go over how to send HTML emails. In our case, we already have a registered Mailtrap account, a verified domain, and the latest version of Laravel installed. So, after doing the same, you'll need to add the configuration settings in the .env file. You can find these settings on the page of the registered domain in Mailtrap's dashboard. After you've entered all the configuration settings, you'll also need to create a mailable class, which will correspond to the email you're sending, and use the appropriate template. For the sake of the example, we'll just use this simple text as our email template. To send the email, we created a test route that directly sends the email using Mailtrap's SMTP server. Let's take a look at what our email looks like if we send it now. And there it is, unformatted and all in one line. So to improve the appearance of the email, let's include some HTML tags in our email template. As we can see here, we've added styles and wrapped each line of text in paragraph tags so that each part of the text starts on a new paragraph. Alright, let's send the email again. There it is, and we can see the difference in how the email looked before adding HTML tags to the email template and then after. Now let's take a look at how we can add an attachment to the emails. We have already prepared a test class for sending emails, and in this class you can see the attach method, which is responsible for sending attachments. To allow our email to send attachments, we need to add an additional parameter to this class. Let's call it attached file. Now we need to specify the file path to the attach method, which takes the file path in its constructor in the static method. In our case, the file will be stored in an attached file variable. After this, let's open the place where the email is actually sent. In our case, it is the test route where we have set up email sending to mailtrap.club@gmail.com. Here, we need to pass an additional variable containing the path to the file. For example, let's use a favicon.ico file that is located in the public directory. And now, pass this variable as the second parameter to our mail test class. Alright, let's run the test route and see how our email looks. And there you go, our email with the favicon.ico file attachment in it. Okay, so last but not least, let's go over how we can send an email to multiple recipients. Again, we already have a mail test class, which is responsible for the email content. Here you can see the title, the email template, and dynamic parameters. We also have a test route that sends emails to the specified addresses when accessed. Currently, we only have one recipient listed, so let's add another recipient. Now, in the for each loop, the email will be sent to each of the addresses specified in the array. Let's try running our test route and make sure everything works as expected. And in our inbox, we see two emails, one to the first email address and another to the second one. Also, each of them has a corresponding name. In addition to specifying multiple recipients, we can also indicate who we are sending a carbon copy or a blind carbon copy to. This could be done in several ways. The first one is in our mailable class. Find the envelope method and in the constructor, add the CC and BCC parameters. The second way is adding these parameters in the mail class. Okay, let's indicate the email addresses. So now, when sending an email to each recipient, two copies will be sent, one regular and one hidden. Let's check this by rerunning our test route. And in our mailbox, we see that two new emails have been delivered, one for the first recipient and another for the second recipient. In the headers, we can see the recipient's address, the CC address, and the BCC address is of course hidden. That's it. Just like that, you can start sending emails using Laravel. We at Mailtrap hope you found this video tutorial helpful. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by Mailtrap, an email delivery platform to test, send, and control your email infrastructure in one place. Like and share this video and subscribe to our channel to see more tutorials like this one, and we will see you at our next one.